Hello and welcome back to the SCL. We just saw some 2 epic European action sets, but now we're going to be shifting over to North America. My name is Anatoly, and joining me will be Taco.
And I'm really excited to see how these NA teams are going to be ramping up for today, considering a lot of the competition has been pretty stiff so far in the region.
So we saw earlier today, Enix taking out Naventic, followed up by Rival, taking out Era Eternity. This set is going to be pretty interesting, Elevate versus Starboys. But moving forward to the later stages of today, we're going to see the defending champions Obey Alliance take out Astral Authority. Well, not take out, but taking on Astral Authority in match number 4. And to wrap things up, strictly business against Sword Gaming.
People are going to start saying pre-recorded stream now, Tolly. Damn it. But yeah, we do see a lot of fun matchups coming later on in the day. And I think that one in particular with Astral and Obey should be a eye-opener really to see who's going to get the better end from there, considering Astral Authority and Obey have both been looking really solid.
Absolutely. That should be a slobber knocker. But let's go to this barn burner here first. Elevate against Starboys. There's been a lot of interesting shakeups in these teams, roster specifically. Out of Elevate, you have Nexamiss now being in the solo lane, whereas Delnyy, the former solo laner, is now onto Starboys instead. Could be a little bit of rivalry here.
A mild rivalry, I would probably anticipate, but sometimes teams end up making these changes thinking that they might be finding the better end, and sometimes players just find better synergy with other members. So, I mean, I think it'll be really fun to see how it shapes up for these two teams.
Well, heading into picks and bans here, Elevate will have that first pick selection, and this is a team that's had a lot of interesting strategies when it comes to picks and bans. Usually they like to run some janky stuff for Michael Checo in that 100 lane, but guess what? Michael Checo isn't going to be playing today. He's actually shifted away from this team. It's going to be Gryphon Slace instead. So we'll see if Elevate continue their identity with that interesting picks and bans or to go for a more meta pick.
And I don't think that a lot of people were really anticipating that much of a shift for Elevate, but the team feels, I think, that they're prepared and ready, and so you can tell already from the picks and bans that they want to just keep it as to the meta as possible so far. And Starboys not hesitating in the slightest, picking up the Bellona and Susano right away.
Nothing too out of the ordinary here. 2 of your top of the tier line solo laners between this Osiris and Bellona. Gonna get locked in this Khepri for Elevate. Great defensive options here for Kenshin. The world is flat for him, but Kenshin, for the bug, it's not going to be flat for him if he doesn't get squished.
I think that he's really looking forward to that one. I like the Thoth. I'm hoping that they provide a little bit more setup potential for it, though, on the side of Elevate. I'm not really certain as to... Well, actually, now I am. It's going to be the Vulcan for Starboys, and I actually like this mid lane matchup in particular because I think they can really go either way.
Mr. Teep is going to be the new mid laner for Elevate here, replacing Boronic here, and going to be against Clow's of Vulcan, so that should be one interesting matchup. Clow is usually one of these players that goes heavily into the aggressive mindset and making the plays, but we'll see if he's making these adjustments here. Medusa locked in. How are you feeling about Starboys' draft thus far?
I think that Starboys have an incredibly strong draft right now. You got the Medusa, you've got the Susano and the Bellona, and 3 of those are considered pretty top-tier picks as far as the console world is concerned. So I really think that they have a ton of setup potential amongst their draft already. Meanwhile, Elevates is going to require a little bit more execution if they want to pull this one off.
That's true. Kenshin needs to set up his mid laner here if he wants to hit those final judgments. Odin, last pick for Starboys, trying to really lock down that mid-mage, it seems.
That's an incredibly strong pick for Starboys because if you just look at everybody on Elevate, there's one thing they all have in common: no real escapes other than having to, well, I mean, Osiris kind of can get away with it, and the same for Thor, but having to expend your ultimates in order to get out of that ring is never really something you want to be looking for. You don't want to have to waste ultimates so defensively.
But as you say that, Kenshin already to start off this game, respecting the Odin pick out of DaleyDale, gonna go for that very early Phantom. Talk to me about the difference between going for such an early Phantom versus of a more defensive relic option.
I think that the Phantom is an excellent pickup just because of it being DaleyDale. Mr. Teep already forced into the Aegis.
Nice pull from the Susano. Mr. Teep, Clown needs to find one more shot. Not going to be able to do so. Joey Donut, though, taking a lot of damage in return just to be able to set up the play. But the crucial factor was getting that Aegis on cooldown.
And I mean, Mr. Teep is going to have to play it a lot more carefully in this mid lane now because of that rotation. And it's still such a common rotation. I'm kind of surprised that more teams haven't been anticipating this.
You'd think like with Season 4 starting and everybody and their mothers doing this strategy of wrapping around underneath in mid or in dual lane that teams haven't started warning at level 1 in preparation for this kind of style.
But it happens sometimes. You can just think that you're going to be safe. They weren't too pushed off of that tower line, so it was really just the rotation from Delnyy putting on so much pressure, having as much damage as possible onto Mr. Teep. Well-timed Aegis, though. I do have to commend him for a well-timed Aegis, but like you were originally asking about on the relic choice for Kenshin, I think that the Phantom is very respectable. DoctorL potentially in a little bit of trouble. Joey Donut doesn't have any follow-up, though. They have been expending their cooldowns on that wave.
Just like you were talking about before, the difference here between this Phantom and other options could have been going for potentially the sprint to allow Nexamiss in these team fights a lot of penetration in those backlines, or at least to the ability to get into that backline rather. In the soul lane, though, a lot of action still. Joey Donut, despite finding a nice little engage in the mid lane, can't provide the same kind of style in this soul lane against such a tanky composition between this Thor Osiris.
And for Thor Osiris, that's such a heavy push lane that even a Bellona and Susano are going to have trouble with that one.
Absolutely. It's just no match for Joey Donut on the squishy Susano, who has a lot of mobility and setup, but he needs to be guiding more towards the mid lane, trying to assist Cloud for some easy knock-up and backfire combinations.
And nothing wrong with that either. You can tell that these two are really trying their best to work together to provide as much pressure as possible. I think that the Susano paired alongside the Vulcan is an excellent choice because he has that pull-in opportunity with his ability to really set Clow up.
And it seems that the dueling here out of Starboys was successfully able to invade the red buff. We see Cloud with red buff alongside Cameron, so Gryphon slays as a Jing Wei. How are you feeling about her chances without this buff?
I think he'll be fine not having the buff in terms of survivability. Really, Gryphon isn't looking to play this lane super aggressive anyway. He went for the Ninja Tabi Rush, which we've started seeing a little bit more often on these Jing Wei players, and that's kind of just because Jing Wei, she's got that free TP into the lane, essentially. Passive doesn't go as far as it used to, but it goes enough of the distance to make it so that this is a viable start on her.
Gryphon not looking for any sort of action in that dual lane, but DoctorL certainly is in the solo, trying to stun out Delnyy slightly off the mark, but I like the idea here that he has. He's just casually walking into the lane, sharing some of the experience in gold anyway, and while he's here, he might as well use this opportunity to maybe get off some poke.
What I'm waiting for is the rotations from DaleyDale, because these Odin rotations, once he hits level 5, and he is level 5, actually Delnyy gonna be forced into his ultimate, but Nexamiss unable to find the secure with his own. Delnyy just barely escaping.
But still finding the opportunity to invade the blue buff after the fact, but losing their speed buff in return here. Joey Donut wrapping around underneath with the addition of DaleyDale, but Kenshin just barely able to squeeze by the ring, not even needing to expend the use of that relic.
And that is a lucky break for Kenshin, but now the same can't be said for Nexamiss. All the Starboys are looking to try and capitalize onto this Osiris. Joey Donut by himself, though, isn't going to try and follow that one up.
Taking the jet stream, just not enough damage quite yet. It's only level 5 Susano, not having the items necessary to really take out this resilient Osiris. Every single time you use one of your abilities, you're getting that 2% extra physical mitigation, just helping him survive that much further.
Gryphon trying to be a little bit cheeky with Cameron there. And Cameron unable to find the invade again onto that red buff. That's exactly why we saw Gryphon hanging around over there. Wanted to ensure that he could secure it this time around.
So you were saying how you really wanted to see the rotations out of DaleyDale in these team fights, and I would definitely have to agree with you, considering he opted to go for this Rangda's Mask to start off the game. This is not a starter item that we see very often here, but in order to make it successful, you need to build those stacks.
It's not a starter item we see, period, really, but right now, Starboys are actually going to be trying to aggress onto this Gold Fury, and there's nobody from Elevate to try and contest. I'm actually amazed at the fact that Elevate just weren't seeming to anticipate the fact that Starboys might look for that early Gold Fury having a Vulcan available.
It just seems that they were too busy trying to put pressure onto that soul lane instead, forcing out the Eagles rally yet again from Delnyy, and getting such an early 5.5-minute Gold Fury is going to allow Starboys just to get a slight edge here. It's not nothing to write home about, but this is the first step that you need to make as a team to start building the foundation off of getting the further objectives and then eventually the game.
And going back to what you were saying about the Nexamiss and the Odin, really, DaleyDale has probably been one of the more mechanically skilled players, I would say, as far as console is concerned. Things can be a little bit harder as far as abilities, but it is just incredibly strong for this Odin to really just combine the effect of the Rain does alongside of his own ultimate. He is going to be gaining, if he gets the 6 stacks from the assist, because he's stacking assists, really. That's all he's looking to do with this Odin. He gets the passive from his Odin cage and everything, where he gets the additional protections and stuff inside of the ring for kills and assists, and having the Ring does on top of that will be an additional 10% cooldown reduction, some movement speed, and additionally, the more stacks you build onto the Ring does, you also will be gaining that 15 penetration, and again, a little bit more movement speed, going from 7 to 10% and the 10 to 15% of cooldown reduction.
That's quite a while away though, and Joey Donut though in a lot of trouble. DoctorL going to the sky, needs to connect. He barely misses off the mark, but he is going to force out some more rotations. Vulcan ultimate over the top, not going to connect, but the final judgment from Mr. Teep. Not done yet as Delnyy. Kenshin's going to use that ultimate on himself just to survive for a little bit further, but first blood still going in the favor of Mr. Teep.
And Elevate right now just cleaning up the side. Well, actually, I take that back, because now it's going to be Starboys turning the tides as they're able to find the return kill. But Mr. Teep, not only did he just save Kenshin's life, he also finally picks up Delnyy for his aggression.
Trading out 1 for 3 there. Joey Donut dying very early on. DoctorL to answer back, but sacrificing Clow and Delnyy in response here, trying to really hold on to their jungle. I commend them for that, but they just can't be the ones getting aggressed on. Level 7 here on Joey Donut can't really be the first one to engage compared to this level 9 Thor, it seems.
DaleyDale doesn't really have much else that he can do right now, though, in comparison to Kenshin. One of the downsides of having Odin for the Guardian is just how mana hungry he is.
Absolutely. He's always been looking for these kinds of assists here because the way his passive also works, if there's a god that dies on the battlefield, whether it's your teammates or the enemies, you're looking for that extra movement speed and extra power to be able to make a bigger impact. Whereas Kenshin playing this Khepri here is thinking about more defensive options here between his Rising Dawn and the Scarab's Blessing.
And I mean, that's just kind of to be expected. When you pick a Khepri, all you're really looking for is protection of your teammate. Well, I thought the Delnyy could be taking a spill yet again, canceled out of the bludgeon, but it's going to be DoctorL having to back off, considering that Joey Donut made the rotation to save his soul laner's life. Great
rotation from Joey Donut, but yet again, Delnyy has to use that ultimate defensively, while Elevate, they're sitting pretty with both of their ultimates from Nexamiss and DoctorL. Whenever you make a gank and you don't find a kill, but you force out an ultimate, that's a small marginal win that you can look to exploit in about a minute's time.
Delnyy just really hasn't been able to get these bludgeons off. He keeps getting canceled out.
And DoctorL, he wants to go for round 2. Nexamiss is off the mark, and so is DoctorL. Typhoon will find the knockup, and that's the disengage that Elevate have to continue. I like the idea, though, that they tried to go for it, but missing it. They had the opportunity, but they just, it seems to me like it was the lack of execution.
A little bit risky here, but Kenshin, he doesn't have the Phantom this time around, so now he's just going to be locked inside of that cage. But nobody else of Starboys is locked in there with him.
The problem was, I think Elevate just took too much damage from their attempt in diving that soul lane gank. If they were healthy, instead of ganking out that soul laner, they would have been able to collapse on the target of Kenshin, but instead, not able to really do so here. Great stall tactic from Starboys, just able to just buy some time.
That's kind of all you really want to do if you're Starboys right now as well, but it is a little bit risky trying to just wait things out until that mid-game stage. I think that their draft is definitely a mid-game draft, just based off of how much aggression they can have with it.
Oh my god, they're not done yet with Delnyy, but this time it's an offensive Eagles rally. Joey Donut right around the corner, finding the pull onto DoctorL. His hammer is still not available, just needing to find one more in here. Delnyy will finally avenge himself and hit him with that hot taunt.
Could have been a lot cleaner from Delnyy. That was kind of a sloppy one there to taunt off of, but I guess sometimes you miss a couple of abilities. As long as you pick it up in the end, that's what really matters.
Unfortunately, DaleyDale off of that rotation did not get an assist there, it seems like, from his Ragna's mask, so it needs to still wait it out for a little bit further. It's going to take quite a long time to fully get a benefit here, but once you do get those stacks, it basically becomes one of these mid-game items anyway.
And plus, it's not an item that you're really expecting to hold on to. DaleyDale opted for the Talaria boots as well. He's going pure utility with this Odin.
Ooh, interesting idea that Cameron had, trying to poke out the hunter here. Gryphon slays on the Jingwei, who's been farming very quietly here. Same could be said about Cameron here. They're really waiting for some of these teamfights to start moving over to that duel lane before we see these hunters make a huge impact. One
of the more fun aspects of Jingwei is that you just have so much survivability on your own because of your ultimate and your knock-up dash away, but oh man, I thought they were going to be looking for the goal fear yet again. Because
nah, not this time, it seems. Not the second time around. They're thanking their lucky stars that they were able to get away with one. Going for two, I mean, that's just too ambitious, Taco.
I think it's possible.
Absolutely, I would agree with you. As long as that one of the ultimate cooldowns is not available here from Mr. Teep, then sure, Starboys could easily go for it. But at the same time, Clow's ultimate, the way it works, there's just such a long hang time for that ultimate that sometimes you could calculate trying to execute the goal fear, but that window period could mess things up.
It's a long enough window period to where Thoth could certainly steal away the goal fury if Mr. Teep were to time it properly, but Clow's played Vulcan for so long, he should still have that ult secure and know just how much damage he needs to do and when to lock down that objective for his team.
Very comfortable with Vulcan indeed, alongside of other aggressive gods. He really likes to play his gods aggressively, such as Isis, the Zhang Kui, but this game he hasn't really been playing in the front line because of all this action in the solo lane, was DoctorL really tried to focus out Delnyy here, and Delny's been playing his signature Bellona here for quite some time in the SCL.
Elevate have a decent bit of CC, actually, that can make things pretty difficult for Starboys to try and work their way into that back line. You've got Joey-Dona and Delnyy who typically want to be those backlining aspects, but that can be really difficult for them to get in when a lot of their abilities can get canceled out by Mr. Teep's stun, Kenshin with the grab, DoctorL stun.
Ooh, nice. Petrified to cancel out the abduct here. Nice. Ultimate from DaleyDale, but yet again, not catching Kenshin. The Scab's Blessing going to buy him some time, but over the top is the Vulcan ultimate. Not even necessary. Joey-Dona finding Kenshin.
I don't think that the mindset there was to lock Kenshin in. I think that they wanted to just keep Gryphon out, and now it's DoctorL trying to find a return kill onto Joey-Dona, but the Susano ultimate is going to wipe him away.
The Thoth ultimate being used, clips DaleyDale in the process. Mr. Teep forced to dash on backwards at Cloud, taking out DoctorL, finding a knock-up onto Mr. Teep. This is the Cloud that we know that likes to dive. He misses the backfire, but he's not done yet. He tried so hard to find it, but credited with the back harpies in return, getting at least the stuff after the stuff.
And Nexamiss finding the clean solo kill. Delnyy finding the clean solo kill onto Nexamiss. And
that's
this
what
time
he's known
around,
for.
That's so much better for him to find that kill.
You're playing your signature god, you better get a solo kill here or there at least once or twice in the SCL. Delnyy, I can't think of a time where he hasn't really played Bellona, honestly. Going back into the last spring SCL land, this is a god that Elevate heavily prioritized for him, and despite the transition from Elevate to Starboys, nothing has really changed for him. He's still playing the Bellona, he's still finding the solo kills, and his team still finding goal furies this game.
I think the difference here for Delnyy is that he went Mystical Mill and Nexamiss went into that Gladiator shield, and now Delnyy is just level 14, not even concerned about Mr. Teep and Kenshin rotating over. Which
is interesting to see an in-hand based melee solo lane god such as Osiris to go for this Gladiator shield. Every 10 seconds you're popping that Spirit's Flail and you're trying to dive the backline like you're doing against Cloud here, forcing out the Aegis and even using that Lord of the Afterlife. Still being aggressive as Nexamiss, but he's forced to retreat as Joey-Dona and DaleyDale's right around the corner.
And Cloud's ultimate just going to cause a break in the middle, but now it's Cameron rotating over. They get the stun onto Kenshin yet again. But no ring from DaleyDale means that everybody from Elevate is just going to fall back to their T1 tower line and jungle.
It just seems that there was a lot of miscommunication here between both teams. Nexamiss really wanted to find that kill onto Cloud, but the rest of his teammates were more concerned about the other members rotating from the sides of the jungle. And then this rotation from Elevate here, doing a good job at least buying some more time here, trying to get back into the game here. Despite losing 2 Gold Furies earlier on, they're only down about 3,500 gold.
Luckily for Cloud, he was barely able to get his backfire off in time to avoid the first ability from the Jing. Had that connected, I think that that fight would have been in a completely different direction in favor of Elevate.
Especially with both his defensive relics not available to him. Cloud doing a good job surviving in the time, only having that 1 death and feeling very bold and ambitious, going for this Doom Orb.
And I can't blame him. He is a ton of a safety net to fall back on between the Odin and the Bellona. Early on, those gods are just so tanky and possibly annoying to deal with.
How do you feel about him rushing for this Obsidian Shard as opposed to a lot of other mid-mages that will opt to go for Spear of Desolation in that slot?
He can get away with it because he went with the Doom Orb. He has enough of a power spike between the Pen Boots and the Doom Orb to really make Obsidian Shard viable.
Seems to me like there's not much more action here in the solo lane as we're going to see a disengage from Nexamiss being surrounded by 4 people. Rotations from both hunters are starting to take into effect in that mid lane as Portal Demon is starting to be flirted with by Starboys.
And Cameron yet again looking for that Petrify onto Kenshin, unable to find it this time. And now with his ultimate being down, there's a 4-man grouping in the mid lane. Elevate, I don't think they want to fight though.
No, it doesn't seem to me. Cloud is just buying time as the rest of his teammates are positioning towards the right side of the map. We see 2 people onto Nexamiss while 2 people are starting up that Portal Demon, but a blink ultimate from DaleyDale trying to trap in Mr. T. Vulcan ultimate over the top, forcing out the Aegis, but Gryphon slays, eating a large portion of that very delayed Aegis out of him.
And losing both of their Aegises though just means that Cloud and DaleyDale were able to keep Elevate distracted long enough to secure that Portal Demon on the backside.
And left-hand side, DoctorL was just split pushing instead of joining that team fight, trying to secure himself some more farm. We actually saw a 2-level disparity between DoctorL and Joey Donut before, whereas the Thor was level 9, Susano was level 7, but now it's the opposite. Joey Donut getting the better end of DoctorL in this one.
And that's kind of just what you expect when the Susano is able to just freely farm up by himself. I mean, there's really no contest, and Joey Donut looking to make the commit onto DoctorL.
The ultimate from Kenshin is going to buy him some more time, trying to escape the clutches. This Joey Donut, great use of his mobility. The Jing ultimate being used. The Eagles rallying the backhand side, forcing out the beats, but it's Cameron taking out Nexamiss.
And Delnyy unable to find the kill onto Mr. Teep. That was kind of unfortunate, but in the midst of 3, I can't really blame him too much for that one. And if anything, it was a great zone by him to keep those 3 members away from the rest of Starboys so that they could find the kill onto Nexamiss.
It seems to me that Starboys, they're really wanting to start these team fights to prevent Elevate any breathing room to farm. They have some experience advantage here. You're looking at Cameron with a 1-level lead as well as Joey Donut and Cloud. And with that 1-level lead, with the 2-level lead from Delnyy to Nexamiss, this is their timing window, it seems, that they're trying to exploit.
And there's nothing wrong with that when you think about it, because this is really the best time for them to try and make this aggression. Going into the late game, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them trying to rely more onto that Vulcan damage. And so right now is really the time they just need to be amping up the pressure like they have been.
Who do you think wins in late game, though, based off of team compositions in general?
Based off team compositions, I'd probably have to favor Elevate. Just because Odin is such a detrimental factor typically in the late game, unless you get awesome ultimates every single time.
Well, he's going to be looking for those 5-man ultimates with that Blink Relic for DaleyDale, but the question is, can Kenshin negate it with that Phantom as the game progresses? Gold Fury being started for the 3rd time here, already at less than half health. Up in the sky is DoctorL landing into it, but only stunning out 1. Gold Fury still being leashed. It will be secured by Starboys. Kenshin getting stunned out. Vulcan ultimate over the top, but it connects on nobody.
And the Phantom is good though this time from Kenshin. Everybody on the side of Elevate is able to escape from that Odin ring, but they're still just having to disengage and run away from the rest of Starboys who were looking to pursue.
All the ultimates being used defensively by Starboys. DoctorL taking a lot of damage as well. The ultimate from Kenshin buying some time yet again onto DoctorL. Just no time to farm. It's just...
Ooh!
Cloud.
It's not even good enough.
Just doing him dirty like that. DoctorL going back to the grave yet again with 4 deaths here. He's been a part of 4 of the 7 deaths from his teammates, not able to really make the successful plays, but he has been attempting most of them in the solo lane. Would you have liked to see him try to go for like the dual lane gank instead?
It's just so difficult as to say what he should have been doing as opposed to what he was doing, because in the solo lane side, I don't think that him and Nexamiss are really misplaying anything too severely. There were a couple of times where they overcommitted just a little bit and they were turned on for it and punished, and really I think that it just comes down to overcommit rather than him needing to be ganking elsewhere.
Still looking for the more stacks on that Ragnar's mask. Can't really find it quite yet. Only sitting at about 3 stacks from what it seems like. And with that disparity here for DaleyDale, not getting the full benefit of that item, but the rest of his teammates are certainly getting a benefit from the plays with a 7,000 gold lead at the 21-minute mark. The rest of Starboys now grouping up around the Fire Giant side as Portal Demon's about to respawn in less than 1 minute.
Starboys are just trying to let DaleyDale be as tanky as possible, and that's all that DaleyDale wants to do. And I was mentioning it earlier where I think that he's one of the more mechanically skilled players on console. I think he's got some of the most impressive support play we've seen in a while, and really, I think that if anybody's going to make this jank composition or janky build work, it's probably DaleyDale.
It's a very interesting itemization choices out of DaleyDale for sure. Going for the Breastplate of Valor after the Gauntlet of Thieves. Not something you typically see out of your supports here, but looking for a lot of cooldown reduction so he could do exactly this. Finding 3 members trapped in that cage, using all these ultimates defensively.
And now it's going to be DoctorL, who's thinking about trying to peel a little bit more from Mr. Teep, but doesn't want to initiate just yet into Starboys. Just too much risk involved. He doesn't want to die for a 5th time.
DaleyDale is filling his role correctly. He's just being this ult bot. He's just blinking in, forcing the ult, and now it's allowing Starboys to not have to worry about the Anvil of Dawn coming out of DoctorL. It's such good amount of global pressure, and not having to worry about this allows the backline to just really sit pretty. Nice little ultimate from Delnyy. It's going to force out Kenshin an ultimate of his own, but finally DaleyDale will fall to the clutches of DoctorL.
Did you see that crit burst from Gryphon? He was completely shredding DaleyDale. As soon as he jumped in, he turns on him immediately, knocks him up, and then continues to aggress. And that's what you need to see out of this Jing Wei, considering the build they opted for. And speaking of Chunk, the Clow returning fire.
He only has 10% crit with that short sword, but once he procs that steroid, he does have a little bit more. Portal Demon starts and ends with Starboys still controlling all the objectives, all the Gold Furies, all the Portal Demons, allowing them to build a crazy 7,000 gold lead here.
Cameron, just finishing off his chin size, went for a pretty expensive build, but if he's able to make this work, I think that he really just needs to be avoiding Gryphon in any direct 1v1, because typically crit is going to favor that engage.
That's true, but the chances of a Hunter versus Hunter battle when all these 5-on-5 team fights happen is very unlikely here, but the chin sides will certainly melt some of these tanky frontliners here, specifically out of Nexamiss, who's opted to go for this Hide of the Urchin, really trying to get the best of both worlds between that physical and magical protection.
Can't blame him either. I mean, having the physical and magical protection against what they've drafted, I think it could work out in the long run for him, especially since he seems to be a little bit focused down by Starboys.
Mr. Teep was flirting with the idea of using that ultimate, but it's DoctorL committing onto Cloud. Nexamiss diving alongside. Nice Aegis to buy him some time. Fire Giant gets leech. Cloud is going to be that first victim as DoctorL retreats. Mr. Teep is going to be absorbed with that Aegis himself. Diving into the backline is Jing Wei, but not going to find too much after that one death from Cloud.
I think Mr. Teep got a little bit excited there. I mean, launching the Thoth ultimate when he did, he was clearly looking for Cameron or just placing a large chunk of damage onto anybody from Starboys, and I think that kind of works against them, because Elevate, knowing that that ultimate is down, should be looking to play it a little bit more aggressively now.
But Cameron, though, with that Aegis on cooldown for another 130 seconds, his positioning needs to be very mindful. He can't line up in a position where he's going to get stunned out by Mr. Teep and take an exorbitant amount of damage that's just going to tilt the tide in Elevate's favor. But it's Elevate that's going to start up the goal here. Clow is still dead, just now reviving, and everyone else not in position.
There's only Cameron and DaleyDale to try and defend this. He's going in with the bird bomb. They do leash it and
stolen. Starboys. They drop the Gold Fury. Elevate drop the Gold Fury. Starboys secure it, but losing the life of DaleyDale. It's going to be dead for another 35 seconds. At this point in time here, Taco, how do you feel about Elevate's chances to go for this Fire Giant?
No, they can't go for the Fire Giant. Delnyy will prevent that, but it's not even that. It's just Elevate dropping that Gold Fury at 10% health and expecting Starboys to not look on the pickup. They just needed to commit there. At
that point, I think they were too worried about the Petrify potentially coming out of Cameron. I'm not sure if Mr. Teep's ultimate was available at that point, but it's certainly up and available as they siege a tier 1 mid tower. No Aegis for Cameron, no life for him either, but trading out with Cloud's revive, getting DoctorL in return.
And I think that's about as even as a trade as Starboys would have wanted, but Cloud's not done quite yet. Delnyy with the huge Bellona ultimate over the top, catches 2, forces into their ult. Mr. Teep about to panic ult, can't find any damage, and now the entirety of Elevate is on the run. Can't get away from Joey Donut though.
Kenshin trying to save his mid laner, but he actually is not on the mark. He connects onto Nexamiss instead, unfortunately. Delnyy barely able to juke and weave over the abilities from Nexamiss. That's 2 dead on the side of Elevate. The Starboys are now grouped up in a 4-on-3 down mid tier 2 tower.
But with a full creep wave to their name, I don't see this T2 standing for much longer. Delnyy, Clow, able to pick that one up, no problem.
It was a great ultimate from Delnyy on this side, forcing out those 2 Aegises from both Mr. Teep and Gryphon Slays, and I think that was the turning tide there. It seemed that Elevate just stayed a little bit too long for that tier 1 mid tower.
Well, Gryphon also used his beads to try and escape, and really, I mean, this Fire Giant is free. It's got to be free.
There's just nobody here on the side of Elevate. They're now getting around the corner. It's at about 10% health. It's Gryphon and Kenshin right around the corner, though it will be secured by Starboys, but they're trying to disengage here. They don't want to force a team fight, but Cameron is here, and this could be go.
And I think Delnyy, after getting hit by the Sunder, is just looking to survive. DaleyDale with the massive ultimate, though. Starboys are turning this entirely.
Getting the 1 kill onto Kenshin, not done yet as Nexamiss doesn't have his ultimate. Over the top was the ultimate from the top. Not going to connect onto too many targets there for the death. Bird Bomb not doing enough damage, but the Vulcan ultimate just barely clipping DoctorL. Joey Donut takes out 1. Cloud taking out a 3rd here onto Gryphon. That's 4 dead from Elevate, and Starboys, they're looking to end this game here probably, Taco.
There's no way that they don't secure at least 1 or 2 Phoenixes, and even then, I think that they do have the possibility to end. DoctorL going to be the soonest one reviving after Kenshin, and that's 30 seconds on the board.
It's going to be quite a long time here committing to this right side Phoenix without creep waves. Starboys now shifting over to the mid lane. Going to play it very safe here. Having Fire Giant buff for still another 2 minutes and 50 seconds is plenty of time to do really what they want to do.
And right now, it's looking like what they want to do is lock down Kenshin yet again, trapped inside of the Odin cage. He can't get out this time. There is no Phantom. Nobody to save him either.
No, unfortunately, Nexamiss couldn't get there in time. DoctorL and Mr. Teep just now reviving into the action and getting these 2 Phoenixes off of the Fire Giant here. Starboys are looking so strong to finish off the first game here of this set. And considering where these 2 teams stand right now, Starboys, they only have 1 point here. They split against Astral Authority. They lost to both Obey Alliance and Sword Gaming. So this could be a good momentum tide turner transitioning into game number 2.
Starboys certainly need this win if they want to stay in contention for Valencia, but I think that with the way things are going, they're going to definitely be able to find game number 1.
I mean, it seems that way for sure. 14-7, 29 minutes into the game, 2 Phoenixes down, 15,000 gold, 14,000 experience. But the road is just basically like all the roses are on the road for Starboys down that Titan room, it seems.
Somebody already paved the way for them, and that is themselves, really. It's just, it was a little bit sloppy towards the start, a little bit slow to get going, but now that this comp is coming into full swing, these guys are working together so perfectly. DaleyDale in particular, he's just locking them down. No, like, there's nobody who can get out. These Odin rings have been exactly what you would want to see from an Odin off cooldown.
How does Elevate respond then in game number 2? Do they get a second Phantom, or do they just draft a little bit better expecting this Odin pick?
I think that they would have to draft, keeping in mind that Odin is always a possibility.
It's going to be a possibility now for Starboys to secure this game as they're sieging down this last remaining Phoenix on the left-hand side. Mid and right side are going to start flooding in with those fire minion waves. Starboys looking for the right opportunity. Nice petrified to avoid the abduct, but a lot of damage from the Thoth ultimate. Connected to 2 on the back line. Nexamiss jumping in. Vulcan ultimate over the top. Not going to connect onto DoctorL. Delnyy trying to dive that. Phoenix clips DoctorL under that Titan room, but DaleyDale keeping his backline alive. Cameron taking out the Osiris.
He wasn't even paying attention to DoctorL behind him. He only wanted to kill Mr. Teep, and while he wasn't able to find Mr. Teep, just the bludgeon AoE swing, bringing down DoctorL is just one of those, that's just a feels bad moment.
I mean, it feels good for Starboys as they win the first game of this set. Looked so clean towards the later stages. You were talking about how it was all up to DaleyDale to set up some of these plays for his teammates, really banking on the fact that he was going to bait out that Phantom from Kenshin and allow Clow to do Clow things over the top.
I mean, when you have an Odin ring available and your teammates setting you up, it just makes you look oh so good. And this is probably some of the more consistent Clow Vulcan gameplay. It was a little bit slow to start, but he managed to make it work, and the way that he combined his kit with the rest of his team, it worked out beautifully.
And you were talking about how before, during that mid lane pressure, he was just barely able to survive against that Jing knockup. Had he died there, the momentum probably wouldn't have been his favor, and then maybe he wouldn't even go for that Doom Orb originally. But either way, going for a very ambitious glass cannon build, favoring him in the end.
Finding the kills that matter and the ults that matter, and because of that, Starboys are able to lock down game number 1. And